Hey everybody, Tyler here with the Fansplash podcast, here to bring you the episode 3 review of Marvel and Netflix's Luke Cage. Now, Luke Cage has been so popular in the past day that it has broke the internet when it comes to Netflix viewership. Um, People are having trouble viewing the title. I was actually kicked off of it myself, as it is so overloaded that they can't handle the traffic. So, it's very exciting to see superhero movies finally get the attention that they deserve, especially with the real street level grit that they're being given on Netflix and in the DC universe. Now, I want to talk about that grit in this show, Luke Cage, is they spare nobody in the brutality and the gruesomeness and the street level realism. Now, episode 3 is a very, very good example of how that is evidenced. So, episode 3, if you've seen the first 2 episodes, you know kind of the aftermath of what's going on after the end of episode 2. Obviously, after a certain event happens, the character of Luke Cage is forced to go out of his hiding, rather, and take up arms and sort of start going after the villain Cottonmouth. And you get to see a lot more of Cottonmouth, and you get to see a lot of who he's in business with and what his sort of plans are, and a little of who he is as a person and what sets him off, as well as, obviously a little bit more character development with other characters and who's in business with him once again. Now, Luke Cage, episode 3, kind of starts going and then runs. It takes the series and it is what I would say is the definite beginning to the series. Episode 1 and 2 would be like the first 15-20 minutes of like an origin movie, I would call it. And then episode 3 is the start of the plot. Here's the main plot, here's the characters, here's the violence, here's everything that's going to happen, and here's how awesome this character is. And you get to see a lot of examples of Luke Cage beating the hell out of people and being Luke Cage. There's some really cool stuff. He does some creative stuff with objects and all sorts of things that would be a lot easier to say and like convey as how cool they are if I wanted to get into any sort of spoiler whatsoever, but I don't want to take anything away from how fun and engaging that this episode really is. And the show itself, as I've continued to go on and watch more of it, and I'm kind of like going back and revisiting this episode. But the episode is a lot different from the other ones, as in it's much more action-packed than the other 2 were, whereas they were more slow, going from the jump and then kind of like ending on like a strong action note. This one, I wouldn't say it's chock full of it and like completely action packed, but it's got a lot more of it sprinkled in, and you are much more engaged the entire time. And this is when you start to sympathize for certain characters and hate other certain characters and feel for other characters. And it's done a very good job, and Netflix is killing it when it comes to writing these shows. I was watching it, and this is the episode that I realized look at these actors and look at what's going on in this show. This is a comic book show. This is a comic book superhero underwear wearing fucking space fucking powers, all that shit that people like to make fun of. And this is serious, and it's down to earth, and it's very, very, very gritty and bone chilling and very well executed. And it's really well written, and stands on its own as a good television show. And it's like any HBO show or other Netflix show that you'd watch that isn't network television, that doesn't have to sacrifice any quality for like FCC ratings or anything like that. So it's just, it's just, I can't put into words enough how well I think that Netflix is doing with these shows, and I'm just so looking forward to like an R-rated Avengers with the Defenders, and I'm really looking forward to the next step with Iron Fist, and I'm really looking forward to see how Luke Cage ends. So, got a little bit off track with like adding a little extra in there, but I just wanted to share my thoughts and feelings on it. And yeah, if you haven't checked out episode 3 and are wondering, after 2 episodes, if you're going to continue to watch Luke Cage, go ahead and continue to watch it. Episode 3 is well worth it, and it's the kicker. It's what really kicks the show off, as well as kind of ending with connecting with the end of episode 2. So yeah, check it out, and check out our other reviews. We did a review of episode 2, we did a review of episode 1, and we just released our 23rd episode of our podcast. It is the 4th episode in our new studio setup podcast. Check that out, and stay tuned to check out all the fantastic and fun places that you can find us at. Until then, thanks for stopping in and watching. I don't have a cool sign off like Jesse, so I just awkwarded it up at the end. So, all right.